It's starting to get cold outside, and everybody knows what that means. Flannel weather. It also means that the holiday season is fast approaching. So many people will be celebrating the holidays remotely, they're going to be away from friends and family, and so a lot of people are anticipating feeling lonelier than usual this holiday season. But loneliness isn't a new issue here in the United States. A study from 2018 found that 50% of American adults feel lonely or left out or isolated. And a study at the beginning of 2020 found that that number had actually risen to about 60%, or 3 in every 5. So we're seeing this huge rise in loneliness here in our country, and we know that based on reports from the CDC, that loneliness tends to spike around the holiday season. So some of you are anticipating feeling lonely. Some of you are already feeling it, and some of you have been feeling it for a really long time. So the question is, what can you do about it? How can you hope to cope with your feelings of loneliness this holiday season? Let me give you 3 things that might help. See, humans aren't the only creatures that get lonely this time of year. There are thousands and thousands of dogs and cats and bunny rabbits and all sorts of cute critters who are going to spend the holidays alone in the shelter. And the research on loneliness and animal companionship has found that animals can really provide an authentic source of connection for people, and it takes the edge off of those feelings of loneliness. So if you can foster an animal friend, that's great, because it gives the pet a chance to get out of the shelter, to experience a new person and a new space. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You can always bring the animal back, and the animal at least got to have some time away, and you got to have some moments of connection. And if it does work out, then hey, you've got a new friend. If where you live doesn't allow pets or whatnot, then consider volunteering at an animal shelter. Take the dogs on a walk, play with the kitty cats. Those moments of connection count, and not only will it help you feel better and a little less disconnected this holiday season, it'll also give something back. So mindfulness is a concept that we talk about a lot in therapy, and when people think about mindfulness, they usually think about meditation or Buddhism or Eastern tradition, but actually mindfulness is much more simple than that. It's all about living life to the fullest by being able to give all of your attention to the present moment. So many of us live our lives outside of the present moment. We think back to the past about things that happened, we think ahead to the future, things that we're worried about, or we just sort of check out from the present moment by tuning into our devices and scrolling through Twitter and whatnot. But when we're able to tune in to the present moment, life feels a little bit more like living. And this is important because our moments of connection, those moments of relationship that we do have, if you want to make the most of that, you have to be able to redirect your attention to that relational experience as much as possible. So what does this look like? It looks like being able to block off time where you're doing absolutely nothing else but spending a moment with this other person. Maybe you have to turn off your phone. Maybe you need to let your other people know, maybe your work colleagues, that you're going to be spending this very intentional blocked off time with your loved ones and your friends. And again, this is all about making an intentional memory. And so the making part of this is really important too. If you can be the one to offer a moment of connection, if you can be the one to take the initiative, then maybe you can provide moments of connection that somebody else needed even more than you. So this third and final tip is a little bit more abstract, but bear with me. See, people do not like feeling uncomfortable emotions. Things like sadness and anger and disgust. We avoid uncomfortable feelings because, as a society, we've sort of told ourselves that feeling that way signals that something is bad, something is wrong in your life, something is broken, and so you need to fix it. You need to do something about it. And so when those uncomfortable emotions show up, we do whatever we can to make them go away. We numb out, we try and distract ourselves. And the same is true for feelings of loneliness. When we feel lonely, what do? Well, most of us pick up our phones and we scroll through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and for a moment we feel better because we feel distracted from our own feelings of loneliness. Maybe even we feel somewhat connected because we think we know what's going on in someone else's life. But then we put down our phone and we feel worse, usually because we're comparing ourselves to other people, and those feelings of loneliness didn't just magically go away. See, when we try to control our feelings, what usually happens is we end up giving more attention and focus to those feelings, and then they end up growing and growing until they feel like they're out of control. But the fact is, our emotions are just another part of what it means to be human. They're natural, they're normal, and they tell us really important information about the world and what's happening in our lives. So the question is this: instead of trying to distract yourself or numb or avoid these feelings of loneliness, what if you chose to accept that it's okay to feel lonely, chose to accept those feelings of loneliness this holiday season? I'm often reminded of things that Fred Rogers used to tell me when I was a kid, when I'd watch his show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And he would say things like, it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. And I'm sure if Mr. Rogers was here with us today, he would be telling us that it's okay to feel lonely too. But is it possible to have your loneliness without your loneliness having you? In other words, is it possible for you to have a good, meaningful life, to have a good holiday season, even though you're carrying around some of those feelings of loneliness? Can you work on your health, enjoy some good meals, maybe create a work of art or read something that matters to you, even though you're missing your family and your friends? If so, that can make a difference. I want to wish you all well with this holiday season. I'm hopeful that you'll be able to create some spaces of belonging, that you'll be able to honor some of your traditions in a way that is safe and responsible, and that you'll be able to make the most out of the sunset of 2020.